Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am here to review Love After Lockup. This is episode 42 entitled Walk of Shame. We got to visit with, I'm pretty sure, all the couples, so there's a lot to recap. This might be a long video, but I'm gonna try not to keep it too long. So let's jump right in and start with Brittany and Ray. We pick up where we left them off. They're waking up the next morning, I suppose, in bed. Brittany says that it was the best sex of her life, that Ray is just a love maker. He seems to have enjoyed himself, and as they're laying there sort of just canoodling, Grandma text messages Ray, interrupts the moment to let him know that she is coming over to visit and to bring food. Brittany's annoyed, because she says that Grandma's just keeps interrupting, showing up, and is just too judgy. I don't know if it's judgy as much as just concerned, the way her family's concerned. They don't, Ray's family doesn't know Brittany. Brittany's family doesn't know Ray. So there's concern on both sides, but, what can she do? Tell Grandma not to come? Ray tells him that, he is her first grandson and that, she's very overprotective of him. So, Brittany gets up and is going to start sort of cleaning up the place, getting it ready for Grandma. They go outside to feed the dog, and they have this conversation where Ray asks, when he is going to meet Brittany's family. She tries to skirt around the issue by saying, something to the effect of, let's kind of hold off on that. Let's just focus on reconnecting you with your family, your people, since, they haven't seen you the longest. And he's cool with that, but really, when am I gonna meet them? So she tells them, well, she can't really hide it any longer. He wants to know, and so she just tells him that they don't know that he's out of prison. And she lied to them and told them that he would be released to his father's where he will be staying. So they don't know that they're living together. Ray looks at her just like, so are you trying to hide me? And she says, no, I'm not trying to hide you. I'm just waiting for the right time for me to bring it up to them. And when will that be? She doesn't know. Just maybe, once he's settled in more. That seems to placate him enough for now. But he tells the camera that, he's really not down for the secrets and lies, because that can really be detrimental to a relationship. Absolutely. So later on, they're hanging out in the kitchen waiting for Grandma to get there. Grandma pulls up. Brittany looks out the window and sees that she's coming in with sort of like trays of food, and she has like a few t-shirts on hangers, and Brittany's just so offended, like, oh, this woman's bringing you clothes? She must think I got you naked up in here. Why would she think that? I mean, she could think that. She doesn't know you, because earlier when they were laying in bed, when they got the text message, Brittany was saying something like, oh, why does she have to come over? Does she think I have you like chained to the bed or chained down in the basement? Well, you could. I mean, you would if you could. I don't know if Brittany just wants the two of them just to live in a bubble by themselves forever. Okay, whatever. So, I mean, I don't know why Grandma just can't be a sweet, loving grandma that wants to spoil her grandson with some fresh t-shirts. Like, what? Anyway, so Grandma comes in. She brings some fried chicken, which looks extra crispy and good. Some mashed potatoes. They sit down at the table. Grandma's very nice. She compliments Brittany on how beautiful her home is, how nice the decor is. Brittany tells her that her mom decorated it. Grandma compliments Mama's taste. And, it's nice enough. I think it's just Grandma trying to get to know Brittany. She doesn't know who she is. Just like Brittany's family doesn't know who he is. It's just, I would be concerned if I were Brittany's family. Yes, you can get out of prison and you deserve a second chance, and you can get your life back on track, but we don't know that yet. We don't, he could, and same thing with, Grandma, she doesn't know Brittany. Who is this lady? What does she want from you? What is her deal really? We just really need to get to know each other. And I don't know why Brittany, she wants to be alone with Ray 24/7, just them by themselves. I guess because it would be easier not to have to answer all the questions and show up. And anyway, Grandma asks Brittany, so what does your family think of Ray? And Brittany has to tell her the truth. Well, they haven't met him yet. And Grandma's shocked, like, what? Your people haven't met him yet? Why? Are you ashamed of him? And she has to, again, tell the truth and say, well, no, it's just that I'm waiting for the right time. They're aware of him. I'm not hiding him, but, they have their reservations, him being, an inmate, newly released, and I just want to give him the chance to settle in, get on his feet, get a job so that he can show what he brings to the table, which might make them feel, more comfortable and less likely to judge him, kind of hurt his feelings. And Grandma says, well, that's good, because if that does happen, that's your fault for sort of presenting him in such a way. And Brittany says, oh no, like, I get it. Yes, I'm just as protective as you are. I don't want him to be hurt or judged, for his past. So that's Brittany's plan. And Grandma just looks at Brittany and tells her, Ray's not a baby. I get that, but he's my baby. And she looks at Ray and says, you know what? If at any time you feel uncomfortable or judged or unwelcomed here, you know where to come. My house, my door is always open, baby. And he looks at her like, I know, Grandma, I know. Like, that's nice that he has somebody like that in his corner. And I'm gonna assume that his parents are the same, that he has a support system, where I think Brittany just wants to be the sole one and only. Like, he's got a family, that have known him his whole life. You've known him for 9 minutes, okay? So anyway, that's it. That's where we leave them. I don't know when we're gonna get to him meeting the family, maybe soon, but that's it. So let's move on to our next couple. Let's talk about Anissa and Jeff. Again, the episode picked up where it left off last week with Jeff having a conversation with Kyle, Anissa's friend, outside waiting for Anissa to bring them breakfast. And Jeff has a secret to share with Kyle that he's not sure how to break to Anissa. And the big secret is that, Jeff was in the halfway house. An ex-girlfriend of his, Christine, called to let him know that she has an 18-year-old son that she is 99% sure is Jeff's. Now, this isn't like shocking news to Jeff, because 18 years ago, when this baby was born, he suspected that the kid was his. When she went into labor and had the baby, he had just been admitted into prison, called the girlfriend to reach out, see how she was doing. Girlfriend's mom picked up the phone, told Jeff, you are not the father, do not call here, we want nothing to do with you, hung up on him, and Jeff, I guess, was just okay with that. He is what we call an ain't shit dad. Knew the kid was probably his, but was okay, like, okay, you say you don't want me around, I guess I just won't be around. So now, 18 years later, the girlfriend's telling him this because the son wants a relationship, because the son wants to get to know him, because Jeff wants to does this feel like a forced storyline? Maybe, except that no, what it really is an opportunity for Jeff to test Kyle to see if Kyle will spill the beans to Anissa. Because Kyle tells Jeff, well, the best thing to do is just tell Anissa, be honest, she'll appreciate it, really nothing else you can do. And so Jeff says, okay, I'll do that, but please don't mention anything to her. I want to be the one to tell her. And Kyle, in that moment, says, okay, he's going to give him the opportunity to come clean to Anissa on his own. But we have Jeff saying that really this is just a test to see whether or not if Kyle can be trustworthy, because if he does in fact go and tell Anissa the secret, well then he knows that this is a person that can no longer be in Anissa's life. And why Jeff thinks Kyle has any loyalty to him to keep a secret, I do not know. Because, I don't know. On the one hand, yes, I think it's fair for Kyle to give Jeff an opportunity to come clean with Anissa. Yeah, but if you don't, then I'm going to tell her. But then again, it's like, do we really need to tell her if this kid isn't even going to be in his life and wants nothing to do with Jeff? I don't know. An ain't shit father is better than no father. I don't know. It's hard for me. I don't want to be judgmental here, because I had a very loving, cherished, beloved father. But if I didn't, and I found out that Jeff was my dad, I might be okay to leave things as they are. That's just me. And that was kind of it. Anissa walks out with the breakfast, asks them, oh, what are you guys talking about? And they kind of, oh, about you. Kyle isn't going to say anything right now. Obviously, Jeff isn't going to tell her right now. And that's pretty much where we leave it. Except we do get a little segment in between the commercials that they like to do where Anissa brings Cousin Penny over to meet Jeff. If you remember, Cousin Penny was who we met when we first met Anissa. She went to the wedding dress shop with her. They meet, hi, how are you doing? He's out in the yard, weightlifting these bricks, it's what he does to keep busy. And So they're just kind of getting to know each other, and Penny asks like, oh, do you have a job yet? Like, you know, what do you plan to do? And he's gonna look into work, and he tells the camera that as soon as he makes some money, he's going to first get his teeth fixed, then he's gonna buy a motorcycle. Yeah, he said motorcycle. And then he's gonna go buy some Gucci pants because he just loves, you know, the look of Gucci pants. And what I have to say is, Jeff, when you find this job, can you let me know? Because I too would like to put in an application, because I too would like to buy some Gucci handbags, shoes. I don't necessarily want a motorcycle, but I could use a new car. So, you know, my job ain't quite cutting it like that, but when you find that job, let me know so I can apply and I can get those things too. And that's it. Let's move on. Stan and Lisa. I thought we were done with them. I really thought we were done with them, but no, not even close are we done with them. So it's been a few days since their blow up, when we saw Lisa walking down the street with a trash bag in her hand filled with all her stuff, all her worldly possessions. She's been hotel hopping this whole time, you know, Stan's at home doing his little workout, jumping on the baby trampoline, and he's just devastated by the way things have turned out. He hasn't heard from her for a few days. We cut to Lisa at a hotel, and she says that, you know, she's been staying at different hotels, running through all her money that she got from her little stymie checks while she was in prison. And what I didn't realize, or maybe I missed in other episodes if it was mentioned, she was supposed to parole to Stan's house. That's where she's supposed to be right now. So she does check in with her parole officer to let them know what's going on. Like, this is the hotel I'm at. I can't go to Stan's because these blowups keep happening. We're fighting. So the parole officer is understanding, but like I said, Lisa's running through all of her stymie checks. And she doesn't really have any other choice but to make up with Stan so she can go stay at his house, because that's where she's legally supposed to be. Why she thought she would get her own apartment like right away, that was never gonna happen, at least not for a while. And what's sad to me is that it almost feels like she's forced into doing this. Like, I don't want to make it seem like she's a total victim, because she's using him too, but does she not have a parent? Maybe she doesn't. A parent, a cousin, a sister, a friend she can go to. Like, for me, if it were between like a halfway house and Stan's, I'll take the halfway house. But like I said, she knows what she can get. Again, need I remind you, this is an arrangement, and the arrangement is in exchange for financial stability. She is going to hang out with him in his dungeon, but they haven't gotten there yet because they're at this standoff where he doesn't want to give until he gets, and she doesn't want to give until she gets, but it's not getting them anywhere. And here we are. So she decides to call up Stan. Like I said, she doesn't really have a choice. She's running out of money and she's nowhere else to go. So she calls him up, asks if he wants to come over and talk, because she just thinks it's a shame that, you know, they've invested a whole 8 months, you know, into this relationship for it to just like be flushed down the drain. And he's excited. Yes, he'd love to come over and talk. So he gets to the hotel, and she pretty much, you know, flat out tells him, you go from hot to cold in 2.5 seconds. You're always blowing up. I never know what Stan I'm gonna get. Like, where's the guy I fell in love with when I was talking on the phone in prison? And you know, he apologizes, of course, says he misses her, he's lonely, he loves her, that, you know, he would love nothing more than to have her come back to the house and have them start again. You know, she's welcome to come if she'd like. And she says, okay, yeah, let's do that. You know, let's kind of approach this differently and take it one day at a time. He says that, you know, obviously she must love him or else she wouldn't be coming back to the house with him. No, it's because she has no other choice, really, Stan, but to come to the house with you. Where else is she gonna go? You know, so, and he thinks that she has good intentions. I mean, I think she likes him for what he can do for her, not because she really loves him. But anyway, they get back to his house. He decides to barbecue some steaks for them on his baby campfire grill in the garage. She tries to make some asparagus. She says she is not a cook by any means, but she tries. They sit at the table to eat. They kind of exchange these little, like, you know, sexual innuendos. I think she's realizing that she's gonna have to give a little bit if she wants to get a little bit back. So she's kind of making the first move, and she tells the camera that she is not really by nature an affectionate, loving person. She didn't get that growing up from her parents or her, shitty ex-husbands. So she's just real dominant, when it comes to like love in the bedroom. So they're finishing up dinner. He tells her he bought a bottle of champagne for them. She's never had champagne. I don't know if I'm surprised or not, but when she tries it, she says it tastes disgusting, and he's like, oh yeah, I agree. And what I will say is champagne is only good if it's the expensive champagne. Like, well, champagne you get at the bar or you get for free like at some like New Year's Eve party, yeah, that's shit. You need the expensive, and I mean expensive champagne is good when it's the expensive stuff. So they, put their champagne little flutes down, and she tells him that she's just been so stressed out and she would really like to just relieve some of the stress. And, will he kindly escort her down to the basement so they can put on that black leather harness? And he is more than happy to oblige. Like, he can't wait. And down there they go, and that's where we leave them. Yeah, we're not done with them yet. I don't know why I thought we were. So we'll catch up with them later. Let's move on. Courtney and Josh. I do feel bad for Courtney. I do a little bit. So Josh is in the kitchen making himself some ramen in the microwave, and Courtney is in the bedroom laying on the bed, and she yells out like, what are you doing? And he yells back, I'm making ramen. And she asks, do you want to smash? But she doesn't use the word smash. She uses the F word. And he tells her, maybe later. And she says, that's what you always say. And they're kind of just yelling back and forth to each other. And he says, well, I'm just kind of not in the mood right now. And she tells him, well, you're never in the mood. And he says, well, what do you expect me to do? Just to get it up? And she tells him, yeah, exactly. But then he tells her, I'm pushing 30. I can't get it up like I used to when I'm 17. Now, maybe, they do say that like a woman hits her peak like between the ages of like 30 and 40 approximately, and that men hit their peak like at 17, 18, 19. But that's not everybody. I've heard men. Stan, look at Stan. Stan has no problem. So he comes into the room, she's laying on the bed, and they kind of have this conversation, a real conversation, I think. And she gets emotional, and she just pretty much lays it out on the line. Like, you're not what you guys know the movie La Bamba, where Rosie's telling the brother Bob, like, you are not what I expected. This is not what I expected. I don't have a life here. Okay, it's not quite exactly that, but it's kind of that. She's telling him, like, you're not what I expected. This marriage, you being here, isn't what I expected. I thought it was going to be different. The things you used to say to me. And then we get this sort of montage flashback of him on the phone from prison telling her, I can't wait to make love to you. I can't wait to use your thighs as earmuffs, on and on and on. You know what that is. We went over it. It's prison talk. And she bought it lock, stock, and barrel. And now that they're here, 10 days together, they've only smashed twice. And he keeps putting her off, telling her, yeah, later, I'm not in the mood, And she feels insecure, like it has something to do with her, like her looks. Is she not attractive enough? And I would say no. It has nothing to do with you, Courtney. Nothing at all. It could be that he has a lower sex drive. It could be that he's just under a lot of pressure and stress, just sort of acclimating back into the free world. And he kind of tells her that a little bit. He says that this is the first time he's been married and living with somebody. When he was in prison, he didn't even have a cellmate. He was always like on solitary confinement. So being in the same space with somebody who can kind of be annoying sometimes, he's just not used to it. And to me, it's like, wow, they sound like a married couple of 10 years, not a married couple of 10 days, but this is where we are. And she's getting emotional, just like, well, I thought you were going to be more affectionate. I thought we would hold hands. I thought you would hold me and you would hug me, and I'm just not getting that. And not only that, but also you're always playing video games. You're always just text messaging your friends, and you're sending each other jokes, and I see you laughing and giggling. And I'm not saying that you can't have friends and laugh and giggle with, but why can't you do that with me too? And he tells her that, it's different because him and his old prison buddies, they have a bond, and he can't just not reply to them and leave them hanging like, because he knows what it's like. And she says, sure, I get all that, but what about me? What about our bond, you know, what I've given up for you, what I've done. And he tells her, well, I used to write you all the time and write you letters and tell you how I felt. And she says, well, yeah, but I could still benefit to hear it from your mouth in front of me. Like, it would feel nice. So he looks at her very like sort of condescendingly, and I don't think it was on purpose. I just think he didn't know what else to do. So he just looks at her and says, well, good job, babe. You cool now? And she's just like, he doesn't get it, you know? And so she's just like, whatever. You know, she gets up, she's kind of stomping away, and he tells her, there you go with that attitude. And, you know, she turns around and tells him, look, like, I gave up everything for you. My job, my freedom, I'm on probation. And he just looks at her and tells her, well, I mean, at least we're talking about it, right? And just too much for her. She just like slams the door and that's it. I feel bad for her. I guess I should feel bad for him too, but I don't, because I hear in the YouTube screeds that he's not been very nice to her and went back to jail, but I won't get too much into that. Feel bad for her because she's somebody who's just like so desperate for love, you know? She sacrifices her own needs for somebody who like really doesn't deserve her and is not at all sensitive. Like, she's crying and he's annoyed. To him, that's attitude. And it bothers him and it bugs him, which I understand his side in the sense of it's totally new to him, all of this. And it's gonna take some time and adjustment. I don't know if it's fair for her to expect him just to like be like husband of the year. I think maybe she's given him a little leeway. I don't know. I mean, we only see what they edit and show us, so I don't really know, but it's not looking too good for them. That's where we leave them. Are they still gonna get like have an actual wedding ceremony? I don't know. I haven't really seen previews for that, but that's it for them. Let's move on to our next couple. Doug and Rachel. Exhausting. This episode was exhausting. So again, pick up where we left off. We're at Doug's house. And Aunt Rachel is putting Dougie Jr. on blast about the letters he wrote about Doug Sr. and how he ruined his life and he hates his dad, okay? Junior, we're just gonna call him Junior, okay? Junior's embarrassed, he's upset because they won't stop talking about it, so he goes and he runs to go sit in the car by himself. And Doug goes after him, but Junior doesn't want to talk to him. He's just like, leave me alone, I don't want to talk. Doug says that Junior's upset because, you know, Crystal and him were fighting and Crystal's just a drama queen. And no, that's not why he's mad. He's mad because Ashley is putting him on blast, embarrassing him, and his dad isn't even sticking up for him or is on his side, but is encouraging Rachel, like, yeah, Rachel, go get the letters. I mean, Doug just really, he doesn't get it, but how could he? He's no idea, again, another ain't shit dad, or at least a non-existent absentee dad. He's no idea what it is to like be a dad. Anyway, so he's trying to coax Junior out of the car, and Junior's just saying, no, like if I'm gonna talk to anybody, it's only gonna be Rachel, okay? That's going on with them at the car. Meanwhile, you know, Rachel, you know, says that she does see Junior as like a son, but she just thought this would be the perfect opportunity for Doug to be a dad and step in. How? When he doesn't know how to be a dad and there's like no trust built, you know? To Doug, being a dad is just being a disciplinarian and always winking at you. Like, that's all Doug knows. So, again, while Doug and Junior are over at the car, the sister Crystal, who I really like, because she keeps it all the way real 100, tells Rachel, like, Rachel, you know, Doug hasn't changed at all. He's already lying to you. And Rachel's like, what? Lying about what? And she's like, you'll see, just give it time. But if you want my advice, keep Doug and keep Dougie Jr. away from Kalamazoo. There's nothing here for Junior, and Doug will just end up cheating on you or doing something stupid and going back to jail, and he's only gonna bring you down. You're gonna lose everything that you have, you know. And she just and Rachel's just like dumbfounded, just like, you know. But I mean, if you know where Doug and Rachel are today, the sister wasn't wrong. Like I said, I like Crystal. It's one of those situations where it's just like, hey, I love my brother, but I gotta call a spade, and you know, you seem to be a nice enough person. You've been there for my nephew, so let me just kind of, you know, let you know what's up a little bit about this crazy ass family. finally, I don't know if it's like a cousin or an uncle goes to help Doug, coax Dougie Jr. out of the car, and still Doug is kind of mocking Dougie Jr., saying like, he only wants to talk to Rachel. Do you think that's going to endear Dougie Jr. to want to like confide and open up to you? Like, is he that oblivious? Yeah, he's that oblivious. Like, he's just not aware at all. And I guess I can't blame him because, again, how could he be? He's zero experience being a dad. So they coax Junior out. By this time, Doug overhears what his sister Crystal is saying to Rachel about him probably going back to prison. This is where Doug, mouths off that, yeah, if somebody pisses me off enough, maybe I will go back to prison. This is kind of alarming to Rachel. Like, what? Like, maybe he's kind of saying that in the heat of the moment, but what he's saying is he will risk leaving me and what we're trying to do here to go back to prison just because his sister says something he doesn't like. Like, it's too much, but all this fighting, all this chaos, Dougie Jr. goes to Rachel. She's hugging him. He's crying. Crystal's like, I'm out of here. She jumps on the back of her husband's motorcycle. They kind of ride off into the sunset, and Doug's like, I'm out of here too. Like, we're out of here. Everybody, Rachel Jr. likes, get in the car. Let's go. We're out of here. Okay. What seemed to be like a nice reunion at first has just turned into a total shit show. As they're driving home, Dougie Jr.'s in the back seat, still upset and crying, and telling, Doug, his dad, like, I didn't know this is how you were gonna be. I thought you were gonna be different. You're saying that, you don't care. You're fighting with your family. You're telling them you don't need them. And Doug's like, I don't need them. I don't care. And Dougie's like, well, I need them. I care. He's crying. It breaks my heart. It really does. And, Doug's just telling Dougie Jr., like, you and I, we got a lot to work out. You and I got a lot we need to, like, figure out, you and me. You'll learn. You'll see. They pull up to, like, a gas station to get gas. And I guess Doug gets out to go pay. And Rachel gets in the back seat with Dougie and is just consoling him, telling him, like, it's going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. Don't worry. I know it's a lot. And he's just crying. Like, I don't know why he's like this. How come he's this way? It's just surprising to me that this is how he's being. And Rachel's like, yeah, I'm surprised too. Like, because this is a side she's never seen of him. Fine. So the next day or so, Rachel goes to have a conversation with Doug and basically tells him, like, that family reunion, it was a mess. But more concerning is the way you interact with Dougie. Like, the way you talk to him, the way you treat him, you're gonna break him. Like, he's a sensitive kid. Like, he has a heart. And Doug's just like, I can't baby him. Like, he needs to toughen up. If when I was younger, if I kind of like inserted myself in between like my dad having an argument, like I would have got beat down too. And Rachel's like, yeah, exactly. Like, maybe we need to break those patterns, which is what I've been saying from the beginning. And Rachel gets it. And she tells me, I think we should go to some family counseling. Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. But of course, Doug is just like, no, we don't need family counseling. Like, I get I'm loud, I get I'm aggressive, but that's just how I am. When I was younger, I was sent to therapists. I ran through 2 of them because they just didn't know how to handle me. Sure, Doug, whatever. And he says, growing up, he knew he had parents who loved him, but they just, he wasn't supervised. He didn't have like attention. I would say he probably also didn't have nurturing because he's not a nurturing person at all. And I think that's what probably Doug needs and probably what Dougie Jr. needs and why I think he is drawn to Rachel because she is a supportive, stabilizing person in his life right now. And like I said before, I want Dougie Jr. to like get, some therapy and get the hell out of there. Like, as an adult, like it sucks. Anyway, so Rachel tells Doug, I think it's important that we do this counseling, especially if we're thinking about having kids. And Doug says, oh, wait, hold up, wait, whoa. You're not going to like give me an ultimatum about kids. Like, no, not happening. Like, you and I, we can talk. we can communicate. We're not going to a therapist. Like, if I'm not going to listen to you, like the woman who gives me my 4Bs, like, what am I going to listen to a therapist for? He's just not having it. He's just one of those, like, hard-headed, stubborn people that thinks he knows everything, thinks he knows what's best. And, you know, Rachel tells the camera that she is really in love with Doug. And so she's willing to sort of like extend all of this time and understanding, but that if things don't change, he can leave. I don't know if she really means that. I mean, I don't want to spoiler alert anything here, but I don't know if you guys know like where they stand in their relationship. I do. It's not surprising, but I won't spoil it, but you can probably guess. So that's where we leave them for now. I mean, it was just so much. Like, watching their segment was just like, I was getting stressed. I was stressed out. I can't take much more of it. Anyway, let's move on to our final couple. Deontay and Nicole. So what we learn is that it is Zach who's picking Nicole up from her house. She gets in the car. Deontay kind of pulls up, cuts him off at the pass, jumps out of the car, confronts them like through the window that just so happens to be open on this rainy night. And he's just yelling like, "What's up? What's going on? Who's this Nicole? Like, what is this all about?" Like, you know, he looks at Zach and asks him like, "Do you know who I am?" And Zach, cool as a cucumber, just says like, "No, I have no idea who you are." And Nicole's embarrassed, just, "Oh my gosh," you know, and she tells Zach like, I'll explain everything later. Like, I'll explain later. Like, she's not too pressed either. But Deontay is just going off like, "I'm the guy she was with 5 minutes ago. You just met my mom. You know what I've been through, all the things I've done for you, all the stuff I bought you. You know, like, F you then. I guess this is why you don't want to smash me, because you got this guy to smash." But he doesn't say the word smash. He goes to his trunk. He opens it up. He's throwing out teddy bears, bags of clothes, shoes. He's just causing a total scene in the middle of the street, like in the middle of the night. He gets in his car, he speeds off, he's driving, he's like hyperventilating, like, you know, just trying to pull himself together. And in the confessional, he says that he's just devastated. He can't believe this happened. He just never thought Nicole would ever do anything like this. I guess. Anyway, we do meet Zach very briefly. He says that he's known Nicole for a long time. They kept in touch while she was in prison. He was well aware that she's talked with other men. He just never quite knew the extent of it, but it doesn't bother him. They, you know, drive off into the night to do what it do. The next morning, you know, Nicole has to do the ultimate walk of shame, you know, in the dress she was in last night, probably wearing the same thong, just nasty. And she walks up to the porch, and who's waiting there for her but her mom and her stepmom, who are just thoroughly disgusted. And I love these moms, you know. They, you know, her mom's just like, "What's up? What's going on? I was like rudely awoken last night in the middle of the night. The dogs are barking. Things are strewn all over the street, causing a scene in front of the neighbors. Like, how embarrassing." Basically, you're an embarrassment. And not just the neighbors, but like everybody that's watching this show. Because now, you know, mama realizes that she's raised a total user who is also trifling. You know, juggling these men, because Nicole does admit that, yes, in fact, her and Zach did smash the night before. Because why? Because, you know, Deontay just made her so upset, you know, it was her way of getting back at him. I mean, I'm not surprised that her and Zach hooked up. I mean, I guess she's over her issues of being touched and intimacy, and, you know, I guess Zach also knew what her favorite color was, so what else does she need? It's just, I think she's just not sexually attracted to Deontay, if I'm being honest. She just isn't. I mean, she likes all the things he can buy for her. You know, anyway. So the stepmom, again, just as disgusted as the mom, and tells Nicole, like, what you're doing isn't cool. Like, Deontay has done so much for you. He's spent so much money on you, giving you all the things you need. You know, he's really probably worked very hard for that money. And this is how you treat him? Like, he loves you, and you're like breaking his heart. Like, if you don't want to be with him, then break up with him. Like, what are you doing? And Nicole is just, I know. It's just that I'm confused. She's not confused. She's a user. That's it. And I'm sure she doesn't want to disappoint her mom and her stepmom. because the mom is still, doesn't want to totally throw Nicole under the bus, and tells the camera like, oh, I think Nicole, has convinced herself that she's in love with Deontay. No, she's not even convinced herself. She knows she doesn't. She's just trying to milk it for all it's worth to the bitter end. And we might be at the end, I hope. And so, they just tell her like, stop being a user, do the right thing, and break up with him if you don't want to be with him. Just be honest, because you're giving us a bad name here on this block and on the TV. And she, Nicole's just, okay, I'm gonna go inside and like wash off and, go to bed. And the mom and the stepmom are just, shaking their heads, just, who knew she was like this? And the mom tells, her wife, I hope she gets it. Nicole gets it. Nicole's not dumb. She's, like I said, trying to milk it for all it's worth. She's texting who I'm assuming is Tia now, like, where are you? Let's hang out. While telling the camera, she's just so confused and doesn't know what she wants. Love was so much easier when she was in prison. There wasn't all these options. No, like, it was easier in prison because you could just use prison talk to get what you wanted. You didn't have to do anything more than that. And now that you're out, Deontay's expecting a little more that you don't want to do, which is fine, but don't pretend that it's something that it's not. I think she wants like Deontay's money, she wants Zach's D, and she wants like the emotional like fulfillment from Tia. She can't have it all. I mean, it would be great if we could roll all these things into one and create like our dream person, but it doesn't work that way, Nicole. You're gonna have to make a choice. So that's it. That's where we leave them. She's trifling, no surprises, but girls like her, it's not a good look, but I don't know. I think it's also played up a little bit for TV. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next week. Have a good night. Bye.